Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I hope you guys are all doing well today. Thank you all so much for joining me for this brief upload. I did want to update you guys about what is going on with Kelli Bryant, the momster from Pontiac, Michigan. They did set her bail. We're going to take a look at that video. But we are still waiting for the FOIA documents returned for her arrest documents and things of that nature. So make sure that you guys hit the like button and subscribe if you have not already so that you can get the notification whenever I do go live. So, in this case with Kelli Bryant, I'm going to go down through this article from the Detroit Free Press from yesterday. They have given us an update and a summary of everything that happened during the press conference that we watched on the live stream last night. It says the mother, Kelli Bryant, is a woman described by the prosecutors as someone who put fear in her children. She forced them to live in conditions not fit for any living creature, concealed all of this from her family and friends, and deprived her children of the one thing that they needed most, which was love. What stands out the most to me is love, no love. There was nobody there to care for them, nobody physically present to let them know that they were safe and they were loved, said McDonald, who was seeking to have Bryant's parental rights terminated. An attorney of record has not yet been listed in the court documents for Bryant, who is currently jailed and faces up to life in prison if convicted. The Free Press reached out to multiple relatives of Bryant, though none have returned the calls for comment. According to the criminal complaint filed in the case, the abuse and neglect occurred between January 1st, 2021 and February 14th of 2025. McDonald elaborated on the dates and events, noting that the mother has actually 4 children and last lived at the home with all of her kids in 2019. But at some point between 2020 and 2021, she said the mother left the house. A fourth child went to live with his father, while the other 3 were left behind to fend for themselves. A custody case involving that fourth child who was spared the other's fates offers a glimpse into the life of the mother, who has portrayed herself in court documents as a struggling single mom who got no help from her other children's fathers. In one 2022 filing, Bryant wrote to the court, "The times were so tough, so she needed her youngest son to go live with his dad, which he ultimately did. Circumstances have changed for me," Bryant wrote in the August 2022 filing. "I chose to find more affordable housing. I am unemployed again. My rent is $1,224 a month, and I am responsible for all utilities. I also have 3 other children." According to the filing in the summer of 2022, Bryant told the court that she doesn't have a for sure consistent place to live or a job, and that she was in a situation where she could barely provide for herself or her children. Then she mentioned the father of the 3 abandoned kids. "My other children's father is working with me in regards to our children. This is only temporary. I just need time to find another affordable place and employment." Her plea continued, "Please allow me this time to get on my feet. I've practically raised my children alone with less than bare minimum from their fathers." Meanwhile, in reality, at this point, she had abandoned those other children and no one was caring for them. No one was raising them. It's so frustrating to me that she even fought to have them to begin with, fought their dad from having custody of them just so that she could abandon them and then cried to the courts about how she needed more time and needed help and things like that. It's just very infuriating. The mother's 2022 court filing conflicts with the timeline offered by authorities, which shows that while she was pleading for help, her children had already been abandoned. Morally, there's plenty of responsibility to go around for how this was allowed to happen. When the 3 children were finally rescued, McDonald said their bodies and clothing were covered in feces, and at the hospital she said they struggled to brush their teeth and flush the toilet because they hadn't done so in years. "This is one of the worst and longest running cases of child abuse I've seen in my career," said the Oakland County Sheriff Michael after charges were announced. McDonald, meanwhile, touched on the thorny issue in this case. Where were the children, other family members while they lived alone? And will anyone else be charged in this case? While that hasn't happened, McDonald said That doesn't mean that it won't happen in the future. Morally, there is plenty of responsibility to go around for how this was allowed to happen. However, these 3 kids were entrusted to the care of their mother, and the evidence suggests that she effectively abandoned them to a revolting pit of refuse and squalor. There must be consequences for those actions. According to McDonald, Bryant took the active steps of lying to make sure that the kids were undiscovered and ordered them to stay put. She instructed the kids that they were not to answer the door or leave the house. She said, adding that the children expressed fear about what their mother would do if they left the home. She concealed the children from family, friends, and lied about who was caring for the kids and their whereabouts. McDonald, who offered more new information about the case, including each of the children had their own phones. The 15-year-old son would text his mother when food supplies ran low. The 3 siblings had not had any physical contact with their mother since she abandoned them years ago. Food was not always being dropped off weekly, as it was previously reported by law enforcement. And the kids had no hygiene products during the years that they were alone, as mom didn't provide toilet paper, soap, or shampoo. According to McDonald, the sheriff's office and the 2 youngest siblings, both girls, never left the house in almost 5 years. And the 15-year-old brother only left a few times to check the mail and to touch grass. The children's father was not involved in their lives, as he had been to prison in prior years, though he did try to reconnect with the kids and get visitation rights following his prison release. But as of 2022, his wife wouldn't let him, and by then the children were already living alone in a condo in the otherwise quaint community on Lydia Lane. According to the sheriff's office, the children were discovered on Friday after the landlord reached out and told deputies that there had been no communication with the mother since December, and rent had not been paid since October. So the landlord got concerned that something may be wrong and contacted authorities. On Friday, sheriff deputies and landlord went into the home and found the children, who had matted hair and toenails so long that they struggled to walk. The mother was arrested that same day and is currently in the Oakland County Jail. The children have been placed with a family member following intervention from Child Protective Services. The children had no schooling since they were abandoned in the spring or summer of 2020, along the height of the COVID pandemic. At the news conference, he sought to explain how the children fell off the school's radar, noting that the Pontiac School District did receive a request for the students' transcripts from another school, but the district never got a confirmation that the children ever enrolled in the other school, he said. And after the children didn't show up for school, the Pontiac district dropped them from the enrollment without anyone knowing where the children ended up. The Pontiac School District was not available for comment on Tuesday. The Michigan Department of Health and Human Services declined to answer whether any complaints were ever filed to CPS about the children, citing privacy concerns and the agency's policy not to comment on juvenile matters. So that gives you a brief recap, if you are newer to this case, about everything that we have seen so far that this momster has done. And that's what I'm calling her, because she is a monster. I hate that every single article says mom, 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 every video. But that's not what she is. She's a momster, a complete and total momster. So I want to show you the court from today. I am thankful that this judge did act on behalf of the children to protect these children and make sure that they are not going to be in a dangerous situation going forward. All right, here we go.
Pretrial services relative to bond. But for the record, Ms. Kerrigan, are you in receipt of the pretrial services report bail recommendation in this matter?
Your Honor, and I did discuss it with my client.
Okay, all right.
I am, yes.
Okay, and have you read and reviewed that?
I did do that in the breakout room, Your Honor. Sorry, there's a lot of feedback, I think, from the jail screen. I think that's our problem right now.
Yeah, our problem
but
is
yes,
from the
I
jail
did review
screen.
it and I talked to her.
Okay, all right. So they're recommending release with conditions in this matter. So we're going to go from there. We have the PCC date. I'm going to have you speak to bond, and then I'll make my decision as to bond. And I'll also have the prosecution speak to bond. Ms. Kerrigan, you're asking the court to accept the recommendation as provided by pretrial services?
I am, Your Honor. MCR 6.106, if you go through those conditions, provide that a personal recognizance bond with any conditions should be provided unless Ms. Bryant fell under some of the very specified exceptions to a personal bond that are listed. The court can also provide a cash bond if the court finds that Ms. Bryant is either a risk to the community or a flight risk. This particular case is serious, and we're not denying that it's a very serious case. However, I don't believe that the facts and circumstances of the case give any indication that Ms. Bryant is a risk to the community at large. In addition to that, there is no indication that Ms. Bryant is a flight risk. She's a lifelong resident of the county. She was residing within the city limits of this community. She, was employed and she has ties to the community. In speaking to her, she also is asking that the court consider a tether, which could be part of a bond if the people had any concerns that she posed a flight risk. I do think, the recommendation from pretrial services is in line with the Michigan court rules, understanding that it is a very serious offense. But the court rules are what they are, and they do provide that Ms. Bryant should be released on a personal bond with conditions. So that's what I'm asking the court to do.
Ms. Green, would you like to address the court regarding bond in this matter?
Thank you, Your Honor. I did have the opportunity to look at the pretrial services report. I know, Your Honor, just where to facts yesterday, and that those are fresh in your memory. So
I'm going to mute the jail. Camera, and go ahead, Ms. Green.
Thank you. I did have the opportunity to review the pretrial services report. I know that Your Honor just listened to the swear to facts yesterday, and I'm sure that those are fresh in your memory. I am requesting in this case, I do agree with Ms. Kirandongo regarding MCR 6.106 to the extent that you may not deny bond, but this court has the authority to put in place a high cash bond with conditions. And I believe that it appears that Ms. Bryant is not employed and that her resident status may be transient. So I consider her, and I think that the facts of this case portray her as a potential flight risk, and that there are 3 victims in this case that she should absolutely be prohibited from having contact with. So I'd ask that the court add a specific no contact provision as it relates to the 3 minor victims in this case. And if the court would like me to go on, I can.
No. What I found very suspicious in the report on pretrial services, there's 2 different addresses given to her. So I agree with you, Ms. Green, that one could opine that she's transient, she's from here, she's from there, we don't know where she resides. I do find her an acute risk and danger to the community and to any minor children under the age of 18, let alone the 3 minor children that she is a mother to. With that in mind, I agree with Ms. Kirandongo. I cannot deny her bond. That is court, of course. My first knee-jerk reaction was to deny her bond. However, because I find her acute danger, I find her a continued danger to the children. My main concern is, I don't know who, if anyone, that the children have been given to. If it is a family member, I'm concerned that she still may have contact with a family member from the jail with instructions to continue to engage in fear tactics to forbid the children from cooperating with authorities in their continued investigation in this matter. For that reason alone, I'm giving her a $250 million bond in this matter, cash only. The other aspects, should she post that bond, she is not to have any contact with these children by family members, third-party agents, or friends. So, Ms. Bryant, I want you to understand, any phone calls from the jail, should you're unable to post this bond, is recorded. Should the court find out that you are sending messages to engage in further fear tactics and intimidation of the children, your phone privileges will be removed. You're not to have, in fact, any contact should you post this bond with any children under the age of 18. In this matter, if you post this bond, you should be supervised by pretrial services, no alcohol or drugs, no weapons or firearms, and a GPS tether with a verified address, because I'm concerned pretrial services has indicated 2 different reported addresses for you. I don't believe anyone knows where you have been staying, madam. There's no consistent history. Anything further regarding the bond, Ms. Kirandongo, Ms. Green?
Your Honor, just ever so briefly, they had no issues finding my client to arrest her. So I just want the record to be clear on that.
Ms. Green?
Your Honor, you have before you information that the defendant has been lying about her whereabouts, the whereabouts regarding what she was telling where the children were. So you have a lot in this record in terms of inconsistencies with her location and the information that she's given to put in place this high cash bond.
How is she going to shake her head
Thank you,
saying
everyone,
no?
for your cooperation in this matter. Ms. Bryant, you are thanked and excused from the camera Ms. Caragongo, Ms. Green, thank you so much. Pretrial service, thank you so much. Ma'am, can you get up and let the deputies know we're ready for the next defendant? Thank you.
How's she gonna really shake her head and act like she ain't been lying about them kids and who's been taking care of them and all that stuff? She just disgusts me. Completely and totally disgusts me. We will continue to follow up on this case, guys. Like I said, I'm waiting for that FOIA request response. I have a feeling it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. So thank you guys all for tuning in. Make sure, like I said, you hit the like button, subscribe if you have not already, turn on all notifications so that you get alerted whenever I go live again about this case and other cases that we cover on this channel. Thank you guys. Love you all so much. Have a good day. Bye.